Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What's up and what's going on, team? Happy Money Thursday and welcome back. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Money Thursday morning. I hope you guys had a wonderful evening as well. And most importantly, I hope you guys are fired up and prepared and focused and dialed in, ready to go to attack this day. Alpha family, ADT Nation, hit me with a big old good morning and happy Money Thursday. Everybody over on YouTube, how we doing as well? Good morning, happy Money Thursday. Who do we got with us inside the chat? Alpha family, hit me with that good morning. Who is ready to rock and roll? And then who's over on YouTube? Hit me with a big old good morning as well. Comcava, Texas, Ed Nevis, the man, the myth, the legend. You got Mr. Ron over there as well. So Nami, what's going on, traders? I'm excited to attack this day. I'm excited to identify the best opportunity in the market and to make it happen. We got a lot to talk about this morning, guys. All right, we got a lot to dissect, a lot to discuss. We have a good amount of opportunity in the market. At this point in time, volume is scattered. There is not one stock, two stocks, or three stocks that really have the focus, that really show the best potential out of the gate. And before we dive into our morning stock newsletter and get you guys prepared, I want to talk about these market conditions that we've seen the last 3 days. Typically, what you see Monday, Tuesday will bleed into the rest of the week. You will see a trend for that week based on those market conditions that are typically set Monday into Tuesday. So what are those market conditions? What have we seen consistently so far the first 3 days of the week? Well, we see some decent action in pre-market. You got stocks with news pushing on up. You got some prior day movers trying to run. Okay, we have stocks moving. There's opportunity, but not killer opportunity. Not stocks that were like, guys, right out of the gate, this is the trade. This is the number one. Volume has been scattered, number one. We do see some good action at 9:30, right? You see stocks move on up. You see stocks ripping on up. We've had some great trades right at 9:30. But what do we notice coming into 10 o'clock? Things start to die on off. Things start to fade and fall. We lose volume. We lose attention. Stocks aren't moving. It becomes very slow and very choppy and very unpredictable into lunch hours. Then right around 1:30, 2 o'clock, we see our big time movers. Monday, our biggest movers were in power hour. Tuesday, biggest movers were in power hour. Yesterday, when we were looking at NVTA, in BCAB, and VLDR. Those moves started to take place right around 1:30, 2 o'clock. So with that being said, identify your opportunities and take your trades right out of the gates. And if you start to see that slow, choppy price action like we saw the last 3 days between 10, 11, 12, it's okay to sit back because we know that the best opportunity may start to present itself right around 1:30, 2 o'clock, guys. That's exactly what we've been seeing the last couple of days of the week. So those are market conditions. That's what to expect. And you need to go ahead and prepare around that for your day. If you're looking to jump into a trade at 10:30 and you get upset that it didn't work out, well, those are market conditions. That's how the market has been moving. the best stocks and the best movers have been coming on up and starting their moves towards the end of the day in Power Hour. But we got a nice big watch list today. All right. I don't want to talk about everything and distract you, but there are stocks that have potential. So let's start with KTTA, guys. KTTA at this point in time is currently gapping up from 117 to 140. It hit a pre-market high of 163. And there is some news here this morning, right? They're announcing results of preclinical study demonstrating their vaccine in their relapse remitting model of multiple sclerosis. I don't even know what that means, but it doesn't matter. They're announcing a preclinical study. All right. So again, it's not a super hot press release, right? They're seeing positive results from their study, but we're not seeing phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or meeting primary endpoints. So it's a decent press release, right? It's decent. It's not the best press release that we've seen to really see some great action with the stock. To be honest with you, a lot of these stocks that have been ripping on up don't have the best of the best press releases, right? They may be just mediocre press releases. A lot of these movers are just prior day gainers based on daily chart setups. A lot of these stocks that are moving are meme stocks, right? Social media mentions on Reddit and Twitter that are driving a lot of interest. These short squeeze stocks. And then here recently, we've been seeing a lot of stocks with earnings, right? A lot of these penny stocks with earnings and meeting other criteria as well have been our best movers. So KTTA right now doesn't have the best press release. It's an okay press release, and we could definitely see it move on up. We are trying to hold above that 20 EMA at this point in time, but it's not really doing all that much. We had that quick spike to 163, and since then, we've just kind of been fading on off. But there is a press release on KTTA at this point in time. If we look at KTTA here on our scanner list, it's up 19.6%. It's a 4 million in float stock, and it's trading pretty good volume. So again, it's meeting that criteria to be a watch list worthy stock, but is it our top stock for the day? I don't believe it is, but there could be something here, guys. So like Spaz called out here inside of chat, we have a potential break of the downtrend here on KTTA. But one thing that I want to point out is where are we, in your regards to the daily chart, right? Where are we at right now at this point in time? We're actually below the 200-day moving average. So we tried to break on out. We hit 163. We tried to pull back and hold that 200 SMA, but we fell back below the 200 SMA. Came back up, hit it as resistance. So even if we break this downtrend, you have to be mindful that the 200 SMA is a very strong level of resistance right around that 149 to 150. And if we pop on up and can't break it, we could definitely start to see that next leg down. And our best support level here on KTTA is going to be back down around 125, right? So 125 is the absolute best level of support here on KTTA. If we break the downtrend, you could see a quick spike to 149 to 150, but that is a strong level of resistance. You may need to lock in some profits there if you're planning on taking that trade. If you can break back above that 200 SMA, that's a sign of strength, and that's when we could see some great volume really start to move on back in to KTTA. We have potential back up to that 163 pre-market high, and then we have some great potential up towards around $2 today on KTTA, assuming we can actually break above and stay above that 200-day moving average right at 149 to 150 resistance, right? So KTTA at this point in time, definitely a stock to be watching, but we'll take a vote here in a moment and see what stocks you think have the best potential right at the start of the day. I'm going to talk about my number one. I'm going to explain why this is my number one, because this is the stock that I am watching right out of the gate. I'm watching this throughout the day. I'm watching this here in Power Hour. What really stands out to me about ARHS? Well, number one, ARHS is gapping up on earnings. What did we see a lot this week? And I'm really going to talk about our top two gainers yesterday. NVTA, this stock was gapping up and moving on earnings. BCAB was gapping up and moving on earnings, right? BLD was gapping up and moving on earnings. So we have that in common. ARHS is a lower float stock. It's 20 million in float. It's trading 2 times its average volume. It's currently up 30% on earnings, right? Very similar like we saw yesterday with NVTA and BCAB, but there's more to it. What's something else we saw yesterday with NVTA and BCAB? It was an easy to borrow stock on a lot of mainstream brokers. What do we have in common with ARHS? It is an easy to borrow stock on a lot of mainstream brokers. It's easy to borrow on Fidelity. It's easy to borrow here on TD. So we have that in common. And what's the final thing that we have in common between our 2 to 3 top gainers yesterday that really took on off, and then ARHS that really pulls all this together and puts the icing on the cake? 13% of the float is currently short on ARHS. What did we see yesterday? NVTA, 20% of the float was short. BCAB, 15% of the float was short. VLD, 12% of the float was short. So all of these stocks were easy to borrow on mainstream brokers. All of these stocks were moving and gapping up a little bit there on earnings. And they were right around that 12 to 20% short float interest. So we have a lot of things in common with ARHS. That leads me to believe that this could be a stock that really takes on off today. And to top it off, it's a newer IPO stock as well. And that's something else we've been seeing, is a lot of newer IPO stocks really ripping and running. So there's a lot of credibility behind this stock. There's so many separate reasons that this stock could be our number one top gainer for today. So I definitely want to keep this stock on high watch out of the gates throughout the day, and then definitely into power hour, because that's where we're seeing a lot of these stocks really start to move on up. ARHS has some light support back down towards around that 783 level. Now, if we crack below that 783 level here on ARHS, we technically have room to fade back down towards around 645. So I want to see if we can hold on up above 783. If not, we could see all the way back down towards around 645. It would still be in play because we could see the stock start to move on up here towards the end of the day. We want to see it at the lowest. Best case scenario, right? Holding above that 645, ideally 783. Now, if we open on up and we start to break that 933 resistance, we do have some great potential to $10 today with ARHS. And if we can see the stock ever break above $10, we have room to $12.40 and then potential to $13.97 on ARHS, right? So that's why it's my number one stock. Just to recap, it's moving up on earnings, all right? It's easy to borrow on a lot of mainstream brokers, and it has about a 13% short float percentage. Very similar, like we saw yesterday with NVTA, our top gainer, BCAB, one of our top gainers, and then VLD, one of our top gainers on the day. So I definitely want to be watching ARHS right now at this point in time as my number one stock out of the gate. We have CYCC moving up on earnings from post-market, hitting highs of 199, but again, not doing too much right now at this point in time. All I would say, guys, is let's just see what the stock does when we open on up. Let's see if we can hold above 150. If we can hold above 150, and if we see buyers moving back in, we have potential to 2 and then 264. That's the 200-day moving average here on CYCC. CYCC is not easy to borrow on mainstream brokers, and about 7% of its float is currently short, but it is moving up on earnings. We are holding above that 150 level. Definitely worth keeping on watch, guys, okay? TTOO is another stock that a lot of traders are talking about. Yesterday, this stock didn't look like it had any potential. Now it ripped on up in post-market, starting to move on up in pre-markets as well. Currently up 50% on the day. Now, why is TTOO moving on up? Well, it's a top social media mention, right? It's being mentioned on Twitter. It's being mentioned on Reddit as the next potential short squeeze stock. And we're starting to see TTOO move up pretty nicely. Again, currently up 50% at this point in time. So this is going to be the number 2 stock that we want to watch. All right, team. Bottom support at this point in time here on TTOO is going to be back down towards around 19 cents underneath those post-market lows. Right when we came down, bounced at 19, and we had a nice move higher into pre-markets, hitting those highs of 25.45, right? So 25 cents, 25 and a half cents. So a couple things, right? We have support at $19. If we come down, let's see if we hold above $19. Maybe there's an opportunity to get involved here on TTOO, back down around $19 support. If we crack below $19 on TTOO, $19, 19 cents, if we crack below that level, we have room back down towards around 16 cents on TTOO. But if this stock can ever break that pre-market high and start trading above and holding above that pre-market high, we would have a top target today here on TTOO up towards around 36 cents. So again, we just got to sit back, be patient, wait for a setup and an opportunity to to present itself. Right now, I don't see a reason to get involved. Either A, it's going to open, pull back, and bounce off 19 cents, and we have potential to jump on in for a nice trade back up to those pre-market highs. And who knows, maybe it breaks pre-market highs and it hits our targets of 36 cents, or we open and break right above pre-market highs. Wait for the pullback, wait for the retest, and if we have a proper pullback and a proper retest after a strong break, that's when we could start to see that next leg up to 36 cents on TTOO. So definitely another top stock that I think we should be watching right here at 9:30, okay? AERC for the possible mid-candle breakout at this point in time, right? So we got a decent mid-candle breakout. But one thing I want to point out is this week and a little bit of last week, we've seen some decent mid-candle breakout setups, some decent opportunities suggesting, hey, we could see this stock go on a nice big move to the upside. We were seeing a lot of mid-candle breakouts a couple of weeks ago, right? Consistent breakouts day after day after day and big time moves. But the last couple of mid-candle breakouts that we've seen have actually failed. They haven't broken. They haven't followed through. That's one thing to be mindful of. Something else to be mindful of is there's so much resistance overhead with AERC, right? Your typical mid-candle breakout, you want to see that there's a lot of room to the upside into your next levels of resistance. However, AERC has tons of resistance here around that 720 to 730 level. You have your 20 EMA right there. You have your 200 SMA right there. So not only do you need to break over yesterday's highs, not only do you need to start breaking over Tuesday's highs for this to be a great mid-candle breakout, now you have to break the 200 SMA and you have to break the 20 EMA. So if it wasn't for those two moving averages sitting right there that will potentially hold this stock down as a resistance, I would say this is a fantastic mid-candle breakout opportunity. But there is so much resistance overhead, then we're not really seeing a lot of mid-candle breakouts play out lately. So I'm 50-50 with it. AERC has potential. AERC looks like a fantastic mid-candle breakout, but we have those two very strong moving averages sitting right there about 730 that could really hold the stock down and cause the stock to struggle to actually get that break for the mid-candle and actually see that follow through. So I'm going to put AERC on the back burner at this point in time for those reasons, as I'm a little 50-50 with it. I'm going to sit back out of the gate and see if there's any opportunity with AERC, guys, right? So those are going to be my top stocks. I'm definitely going to watch ARHS for the reasons that we just discussed. Definitely going to watch CYCC here above 150. Definitely watching TTOO like we discussed. And we're definitely going to watch KTTA at this point in time. Those are going to be our top 4 stocks right out of the gate. But I highly suggest we do what we've done this week. Sit back, 9:30, look at our scanners, breakout scanners, high day momentum scanners, our halt scanner, and let's see where traders really go. But I definitely think it's going to be one of these 4 stocks that we see traders land on and we see some good opportunity right out of the gate. All right, now I got some back burners that have potential today. They start moving on up. We'll take a moment. We'll dissect these stocks. We'll get you guys prepared, build these plans, and take these trades if there's opportunity. But there are other stocks that I'm watching today as well. BBBY. I'm going to watch the stock to see if we can break back above that 1075 level. Okay, if we can break back above 1075 and 11, that's where I believe the next leg up could start. We could see volume move back in, potentially pushing the stock back up towards around 12 and then 1330. Back burner at this point in time. It may not do anything, but if we start to see that volume move in, if we start to break that 1075 and $11 resistance area, that's where I believe we could see traders jump back into this trade and we could see that next leg up to 12 and then 1330 here on BBBY. But again, back burner at this point in time. AMC, a little bit of a back burner as well, but I do like AMC. And the reason I like AMC is we had a strong day yesterday, right? We actually gapped up. We fell all the way down and hit the 200-day moving average to the penny and saw a strong rebound here on AMC. And we're actually gapping up because that was such a strong push into the end of the day, leaving that large lower shadow, a very strong rebound. Buyers really stepping back in as we came down and hit that 200-day moving average literally to the penny. So as long as AMC stays above 23.75, I think there is good potential today with AMC. And we do have great potential back up towards around Monday spiking highs of $27.50. So I would say AMC is the number 1 back burner pick we have at this point in time, assuming it holds above 23.75. And assuming we have buyers stepping back into this trade, I definitely want to keep it on watch, as we could see the stock back up towards around Monday's spiking highs once again, right around that 27 to 27.50 here on AMC. So definitely going to keep this one on watch above 23.75 today. You got GMBL, a little bit of a back burner stock at this point in time. If it's moving, we'll definitely bring our attention to it. Get prepared, see if there's any opportunity, and make it happen. All right. And then you got some of yesterday's top gainers, right? They could move again today. We have AMRS. This was a top gainer yesterday, going from around 225 all the way up towards around $4. We're going to keep that one on watch. VLD was another top gainer. We'll keep on watch. Maybe we can see buyers move back in and push the stock to its 200-day moving average. You have VLDR, one of yesterday's top gainers, and VLDR is starting to see some action here in pre-market. So let's dissect VLDR, because this stock is actually starting to move on up here just a little bit in pre-market. So we have resistance right around $1.85 to $2. We could ever see VLDR break above that $1.85 and $2 level, we do have some good potential up towards around $2.75 here on VLDR. And I would throw your support level back down around that 170, right around yesterday's spiking high, right around this pre-market resistance. Nice little break, nice retest. I would say decent support right around 170 with 185 and $2 top resistance. And if we ever start to see that 185 and $2 break here on VLDR, we do have great potential to 275. So we'll definitely keep this one on watch. Again, one of yesterday's top gainers. You got BCAB. We'll keep it on watch. One of yesterday's top gainers. And then NVTA, one of yesterday's big time movers there in Power Hour. This stock has supports. If you guys are watching this one, support right now on NVTA is back down towards around 567. If we ever see support hold and we ever see a break of this downtrend, we could start to see buyers move back in for another nice little green day. But what are we not really seeing? Day-to-day continuation, right? We get a nice big runner that really doesn't do anything the second day, and then potentially setting up for a mid-candle breakout. And those mid-candle breakouts have failed lately. So do I think there's potential here with NVTA? Maybe, but we haven't seen multi-day continuation in about a couple of weeks, right? Last week, Tuesday, Wednesday was the last time we saw a top gainer, the next day top gainer, and the next day top gainer. Lately, we've been seeing a lot of great moves, but those stocks aren't really doing anything day 2 and day 3. So keep that in mind if you're watching NVTA, that we may not see any action on this stock. But if we do hold above that 567 and we proceed to break that downtrend, that's the point that buyers would start stepping back in, and that's where we could start to see that potential next leg up towards around yesterday's highs here on NVTA. But those are going to be some back burners at this point in time, all right? So NVTA is a back burner, BCAB is a back burner, VLDR a little bit of a back burner, VLD, AMRS, GMBL, AMC, and BBBY. I know there's a lot of back burner stocks, but these stocks have potential. And if I notice potential and I see opportunity, we'll take a moment, get you guys prepared, really simplify the process, see if we have any opportunity, and make it happen. But again, key stocks to be watching, our top stocks to be watching right at 9:30. Number one, again, is going to be KTTA. Number two, my favorite, my top pick of the day, ARHS. Then we have CYCC above 150, TTOO with 19-cent support, looking for that 26-cent break up to 36 cents, and then possibly the mid-candle breakout with AERC. So just focus on those 5 stocks, right? You don't even have to focus on those 5. Maybe pick 2 or 3 of those stocks that you like for your reasons. But I think those are going to be our top stocks right out of the gate that have some of the best opportunity for trades right at 9:30, guys. And then everything else, we'll keep on watch and see if they set on up, all right? This morning, we have the SPY and the Qs gapping up. The SPY right now gapping up about 2.5 points. The Qs right now gapping up about 2 points as well. All right, so what do we have this morning here with the SPY and the Qs and the broader market? Well, we had PPI data this morning, and PPI data was really good, guys, right? So again, if you looked at that screenshot here inside of chat, we had PPI month over month came in actually negative 0.5%. The forecast was 0.4%. That's good data. Core PPI month over month was 0.2%, and the forecast was 0.5%. Initial jobless claims numbers came in. We had core PPI year over year under the forecast. We had PPI year over year underneath the forecast and underneath last month as well. So we're seeing the markets react nicely to that. Not as big as yesterday. CPI was definitely a bigger number, right? A lot of investors and traders really were waiting for that CPI data, which was great. And we saw that massive move to the upside. And now we're starting to see the markets react. Not as aggressively as yesterday, but we're actually seeing the markets move on up just a little bit on that good PPI data. So what can we see today with the SPY and the Qs? Well, like we said yesterday, SPY and the Qs technically have an open window to the upside, right? Yesterday, we actually gapped up above a key level of resistance, right? Right around that 417 area. 417 has been a key level for quite some time. It was a lot of support. It was a lot of resistance before we had that massive leg down there in June. It's been current resistance as well. That was a key level to see the SPY break above. Well, guess what? Yesterday, we gapped up above that level. We pulled back. We retested that level of resistance as new support, and we saw a strong rebound. We had a great end-of-day move. We saw a nice increase in volume. We saw a nice green day here on the SPY. Based on that, we have an open window of opportunity all the way to 430 and then 432 on the SPY because we have just that clear window. We don't have a lot of resistance until we get up towards around 430 and 432, guys. So with that being said, here's what we can expect today with the SPY, right? We have really nice support back down at 420, right? We could definitely pull back into that 420 level before seeing that next leg up. But if we don't come back down to 420 and we just proceed to break that pre-market high, our next main level of resistance besides 425 is going to be, I have 429.31. That's right under that 200-day moving average. So that's what I'm looking at today, guys. One of two things. Either A, we open on up, we pull back and retest that 420 before setting up for a long. Or we just break on out over that pre-market high and we just see the markets have a nice, slow, steady grind to the upside today. So really not an edge on the market right at 9:30, right? Not, hey, if we crack this trend line, we're all in. Or, hey, if we crack and retest this level, we're all in. We got to kind of sit back at the start of the day and see where the markets are going. Is the SPY going to pull back and retest 420? Let's wait and see. Is the SPY going to open and just break and retest that pre-market high and continue higher today? Is there opportunity for that? We need to sit back and wait and see what happens over the first 10 to 15 minutes to really get an edge on what we think is going to happen today in the overall market. And then the Qs, right? Same idea, same thing, just different price levels. Okay, so could we break and retest the pre-market high and continue higher? Absolutely. Could we drop on off and retest our level of old resistance as new support today? Absolutely. So the Qs, same approach, same idea, just different levels. So the Qs have support down towards around 326.12, and we have that pre-market resistance at 328.75. If we ever see the Qs breaking that pre-market high and staying above that pre-market high, and we're going to see a nice slow grind today to the upside, we have room to 330, and that's a key point here on the Qs. If we can ever break that 330 on the Qs, guys, we have a lot of potential to the upside. 335.53 would be your next big level of resistance. So could we see that today? Absolutely. We could see the Qs definitely break 330 and have a nice 5 to 6 point move to the upside. That's not asking for a lot. We've seen 10 to 15 point swings in a single day. So we need to sit back and wait to see how the Qs open. Sit back and wait and see how the SPY opens on up. Look to see what we do the first 10 to 15 minutes. Are we going to pull back for a possible entry off that level of support? Or are we just going to simply break that pre-market high, retest the pre-market high, and stay above it, and then just grind higher to the upside today? We will sit back and wait and see, but we have great opportunity today regardless, okay? Again, the Qs ever break 330, you want to be looking to play calls to 335. If the Qs ever come down and hold 326, you want to think about playing calls up to that 330, and then if we break 330, up to that 335 level. And then the same thing with the SPY, right? The SPY opens on up, comes on down, and holds that 420 level, and there's great opportunity. We want to play calls back up to those pre-market highs and then up towards around 429.31. All right, guys. So right now I'm definitely biased to the long side, right? Play into the strength. There's a lot of strength to the upside. There's a lot of reasons that the market can continue higher. I'm not looking to try and nail a high for a reversal. I want to trade with the trend. The trend is up. I want to trade with the strength. The strength is to the upside. I just want to wait for the next best opportunity and the best entry to get involved. But right now we're looking for a potential long opportunity today based on one of those two ideas that we currently have. But again, it requires you guys to be patient, disciplined, sit back the first 10 to 15 minutes and wait to see where the best opportunity is. But we're absolutely watching the SPY and watching the Qs. But out of the gate, guys, I do want to watch ARHS because ARHS, once again, meeting the same criteria that NVTA did yesterday, BCAB, and VLD. And I want to see if we have any good opportunity right out of the gates. Right? So right now at this point in time, I'm personally going to sit back a couple of minutes, look to see where the volume goes, look to see where traders go, look to see what stocks are hitting these scanners, and really identify the best of the best opportunity, guys. But we're all set, ready to rock and roll. The market is open. Let's have some fun. Let's make it happen, and let's do the right things, guys. Let's trade smart. Let's trade safe. Let's sit back, be patient, be disciplined, and wait for the absolute best opportunity. Those one-and-done trades, those trades that can make your day, make your week, potentially make your month. Again, sometimes sitting back is okay and waiting for the absolute best opportunity, guys. But we're all set, ready to rock and roll. Yeah, ARHS is shortable on Fidelity. It's shortable on TD Ameritrade. That leads me to believe that it's going to be shortable on a lot of mainstream brokers, and that's what we saw yesterday with NVTA and BCAB and VLD. So again, it has a lot of great potential. DRCT dropping earnings, gapping up here with DRCT. Right here with TD Ameritrade, it is not easy to short. DRCT over on Fidelity is shortable on Fidelity. What is the shorts percentage? DRCT. How many shares are currently short on DRCT? About 4% of the float currently short on DRCT. But let's definitely keep DRCT on watch. DRCT, because it is moving up on earnings. It is easy to borrow on Fidelity, which leads me to believe maybe it's easy to borrow on another mainstream broker. It's definitely not on TD Ameritrade, but again, it's moving up on earnings, and a lot of our top gaining stocks lately have been earnings, right? Look at yesterday's top 3 gainers. They were all moving up on earnings, but they all three had something in common. And ARHS has something in common as well. And that's the fact that it's easy to borrow with a high short float percentage. So definitely want to watch ARHS to see if this stock can definitely take on off. But definitely DRCT at this point in time, guys. We have some support back down around, right around like this 319. So some light support down towards around 319 here on DRCT. Again, if you guys are watching TTOO, because again, it's a cheap stock, it has potential. You want to see if the stock can break and hold above 25.5 cents. So 0.2545. If we can break above that level, strong. We had good volume. We pull back. Nice retest. Healthy pullback. Healthy retest. We have great potential to 36 cents today. But again, I suggest sitting back and waiting for the stock to actually prove itself and break that pre-market high and ideally retest that pre-market high. Exactly. Corey hit it on the head. Do not anticipate what the market's going to do. Just react. Again, mark up your levels. Have a plan. If this happens, I will short the stock. If this happens, I will go long on the stock. And I have a plan pre-built ready to go. So as soon as you see what you expect to see, all you have to do is react. So right now, DRCT has room back down towards around 319. So right now, looking for DRCT, pull back towards around 319 for us. You got KTTA not doing too much. Again, that 149 to 150 is very strong resistance. ARHS still pulling back here a little bit. CYCC just doesn't look fantastic. Again, looking for that one stock that's really going to start spiking and really taking on off. Until I see that one stock that's spiking and really taking on off, I'm personally sitting back and waiting for the best opportunity, guys. That one and done trade, that one trade that you're so convicted with, you're so confident with, that has the absolute best potential to be the next big runner. Again, sit back and be patient and wait for that opportunity. But what we do have is a possible red to green move on DRCT at this point in time, guys. So a possible red to green move here on DRCT, and it's meeting some of that initial criteria, guys. We have a nice pullback here on decreased volume. So this is your A wall. So you got your A wall. You're starting to form your B wall, and what we want to do is start to see that C wall. Ideally, the best red to green moves, your entries are right here during that B wall to C wall transition, but we opened red. We dropped on decreased volume. We're looking to establish some kind of support here. We're sitting sideways, trying to get that U-shaped formation, transition from B wall to C wall. This could be a very nice red to green move here on DRCT. And if we see that 375 break where we opened, that's where a lot of big time volume could really start to move on in, guys. So DRCT, keeping on watch for a possible red to green move. Again, you're still within your B wall at this point in time. You want to start to see that potential transition from B wall to C wall before making those entries for that possible red to green move. But right now, we're still trying to form that B wall at this point in time. And as it's consolidating, sitting sideways, we don't want to jump in, right? We want to see the A wall. We see the A wall, decreased volume. We're starting to see that B wall. We're starting to see that U shape. We want to see some volume move in as well. We want to start to see that pop in that attempt, and that could be that great point to get involved for that potential red to green move. Again, take some profits at the open, 375. Take some profits at pre-market high, 390. Stops, if you were to take that trade, would be at like 330. But right now, it's still just a tad too early. But keep it on watch. If you guys like red to green moves, if you guys know the red to green move, and you know exactly what to look for, how to take the trade, where to place your stop underneath that low, take profit at the open, and then scale out into strength, you have that potential here with DRCT. But again, the one thing that's missing right now is seeing good price action and having that volume really back this up. And it's struggling to get above that 9 EMA and that 20 EMA at this point in time as well. So if this fails to start getting that break above 350, if we don't see that volume, if you guys aren't jumping in for the red to green move, once we see that take place, you still have room down to 319 here. There's TTOO with the 25-cent break. So now what you want to see is a pullback, right? You just broke over 25.5. That is the first level that you wanted to see break. Was it a strong break? Well, we have pretty decent volume moving in. Again, breaking that 25.5 up towards around 27 cents. So right now, wait for your first pullback. Get that nice pullback into that pre-market high. Old resistance, new support. And if that level holds, you could definitely look to take that trade with that 36-cent top target here on TTOO. NVTA halted to the downside. BCAB looking like it may halt to the downside as well. TTOO, wait for your pullback, ideally back down to 25 to 26 cents. DRCT, still looking like you have that potential for a red to green move. Came down, finding a nice base of support, a little bit of that 1 minute double bottom as well. If we start to see some good price action and some good volume back above 350, that's where buyers could definitely start to step back in for that quick spike up to the open, right around 375, and then back up towards around 390. But if this fails, you do have support at 319 here on DRCT. And your resistance is going to be right around that 383 here on DRCT. Now, if DRCT were to ever break that 383 to 390 and also see a break above 4, we do have potential up towards around 5 and then 549 here on DRCT, guys. So definitely watching DRCT at this point in time. Let's see if it can hold on up above that 340-ish support. It's trying to form that B wall. It's trying to get that U-shaped formation, possibly for that red to green move. So definitely still on high watch at this point in time, guys. You guys are saying VERU is currently halted to the upside. So VERU right now halted at 16.18. This stock is moving on up on earnings here on VERU. We take a look at VERU. Guys, this is a potential trade. Absolutely. 100%. 43% short interest. That means 43% of VERU's float is currently short. That's about 20 million shares here on VERU. Right now, I'm shifting my focus to VERU, guys, right? It's moving on earnings, and it has a very large short float percentage. Is it easy to borrow? I mean, I always like to check. I always like to check just to see. On TD Ameritrade, it's not. On Fidelity, it is, which leads me to believe that other mainstream brokers may have VERU short. VERU is meeting a lot of the criteria, and it's very similar to what we saw yesterday with NVTA, and BCAB, and VLD. So right now, VERU is the #1 stock that we should all be watching, guys. 40% short. This stock is moving on up on earnings. Already saw a $2.80 spike to the upside. We have resistance at 18.48 here on VERU. If we ever break that 18.48 on VERU, we definitely have some room to $20. And then just some of these prior spiking highs back around 21.62, 23, and then 24.57. But we have great potential all the way up to that spiking high of 24.57. So right now, VERU, absolutely the #1 stock at this point in time. VERU is halted at 9:39.19. So we'll be live at 9:44.19. So we got about a minute and a half to go, guys. Hey, Fred. What's up, Fred? You coming to say hi? Fred's still in my windowsill. I named him Fred. All right now, VERU team is the #1 stock to be watching. If we do not gap up out of this halt, if we do not have a good halt strategy here on VERU, we have room to fade back down towards around 14.63. But if we can gap up 30, 40 cents here on VERU, come right back down to that 16.80 to 16.90 level. Again, give yourself about 5 to 10 cents of wiggle room to get an entry here on VERU. Nice gap up, nice dump right to that 16.80, 16.90. See an immediate bounce and a follow through. We have great potential to 18.48 and then $20 here on VERU. Again, moving up on earnings. extremely shorted right now, about 20 million shares short, and it's easy to borrow on some mainstream brokers at this point in time. So I definitely want to be watching VERU, guys. High watch. We will be live at 9:44:19. You got about 10 seconds to go here on VERU. We are live with a gap down. We have potential to dump down towards around that $14.63 level, guys. $14.63 to $15 is the next best level of support here on VERU. We actually gapped down out of the hole. That's not a good sign. Again, this thing has room down towards around that $15 level here. VERU were to ever break that 1683, that 1680, that was the halt level. You have room to 1848, and then you have room to $20 here on VERU. Again, support, the best support right now, psychological support, back down at $15. But if this stock doesn't come down to 15 and it proceeds to break that 1680, that's where buyers could definitely start moving back in for that next big leg up. So right now, looking to see if VERU is going to be able to squeeze that 1680, go on its next leg up. If not, you can pull back towards around $14.60 to $15 support before seeing it hold for its next attempt. So let's see what VERU is going to do here over the next few moments. Right now, just kind of trying to hold above that 16 at this point in time, guys. Trying to sit above $16. Don't forget about ARHS, right? That was a nice little sleeper play pick. Really solid setup, really solid stock. Again, high short interest, easy to borrow, moving up on earnings. That could be a nice big ripper and runner today as well. They're on ARHS. So definitely keeping that one on watch as well, team. Right now, looking to see what VERU is going to do here coming on up. And if we start cracking below 1575, probably going to come back down towards around that 1463 and $15 support before seeing buyers move back in for a possible dip buy and that next leg up. But if we can hold above that 16 area, which we are, and we then break 1680, this thing could definitely take on off and squeeze to 1848 and then the $20. So bids are at 1650. We start to break 1680. That's where I expect to see a lot of big time volume move on in. There's 1660. Buyers are trying to step on in. Halt level was 1680. Back above the halt level, there we got $17 on the bid. Buyers are starting to step on in over that 1730. Your next target's 1848 here on VERU. 1848 would be your next level of resistance over 1730. Now that you see the buyers back above that halt level of 1680, ideally, you want to see the bid stay above that 1680 if we want to see a high day break coming on up. It really looks like it wants a new high a day. There's a new high a day, 1740. Again, 1848 is your next level of resistance. Now that buyers are above that 17 area, ideally, you want to see buyers now hold above $17. New high a day, 1745. And if you guys are in this, 1848 is your next main level of resistance here. What was that spiking high? That spiking high was 1840. 1840, guys. 1840. Want to see if the ERU is going to hold that 1680. Again, we're just utilizing that halt level as support, right? When a stock gets halted, we gap up above it, it likes to be great support. If we gap below it, right, gap down, it likes to turn into resistance. But we broke back above that 1680 halt level. We want to see if that 1680 halt level can hold this stock on up as support. And it's a decent little level of support here, right around 1680 off that halt level. So again, if you guys are in this, ideally you do not want to see this fall back below 1680. That's a sign of weakness, and we could see it back down to 16 bucks. Ideally, you want to see this hold above 1680 off this decreasing volume pullback, and then see buyers move back in for the next leg on up. And right now, VERU looks decent, right? Nice rip on up, nice increased volume, nice healthy pullback on decreased volume. It has been holding its 9 EMA, so we could utilize the 9 EMA as our moving level of support as well. But right now, I want to see if these buyers can retain and hold above this 1680 level to get that next leg up through high a day up towards around 1840. Right now, really watching that 1680 to see if buyers can stay above here for that break on out over 1745 up to our next target of 1840 and then 20 bucks. While VERU makes a decision here, anything else? I want to make sure we're not missing anything. Nope. TTOO came down to your 25.5. So TTOO, you could have had your entries there at 25 cents to 26 cents. It bounced up about 2 to 3 pennies there. Right now, you do not want to see it cracking below 24, guys. You do not want to see it cracking below 24 cents there on TTOO.